Mr Speaker, I rise on behalf of the residents of the Aylesbury constituency to pay our tribute to His Royal Highness and our condolences to Her Majesty the Queen. Prince Philip made a notable solo visit to Aylesbury way back in October 1952 when he opened the Edinburgh playing field. Pictures in local newspapers at the time show huge crowds waving enthusiastically, the fervour of the local people a clear sign of the great regard in which he was already held personally. Much has been said about the Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme, but particularly striking perhaps is its relevance to young people of all backgrounds. It probably comes as little surprise that the scheme is run in many of Aylesbury's grammar and secondary schools, but it's also run in Aylesbury's Young Offenders Institution. The scheme's understandably adapted, the expedition replaced with camping on the fields well inside the fence, but the life skills learned there are arguably of even greater value to these young men on their path to rehabilitation. And finally, one personal memory. Honourable and Right Honourable members will, I'm sure, recall the splendid pageant along the River Thames to commemorate Her Majesty's Diamond Jubilee. Sadly, the weather that day was not kind. Indeed, for most of the afternoon, there was torrential rain. The Duke had only recently had a heart operation. The very next day, he was again admitted to hospital. But for 4 hours in the wind and rain, he stood on the deck of the royal barge alongside the Queen. I was lucky enough to be on a boat moored at the end and watched as the royal couple braved those horrendous conditions to see every single vessel pass before finally going below to the dry and warm. Duty and devotion, stoicism and selflessness, His Royal Highness's life perfectly illustrated in one wet afternoon on the Thames.
Obliged.